Fascism in Israel is on the rise. It starts very early throughout one's education as it is embedded in Israel's education system. Fascism has crept into Israel's education system via a traditional education system and political agendas from the regime there. Every 3 years, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development conducts the Prism of PISA, the program of international student assessment exams to check the skills of 15-year-old students across the world in reading. The results for Israel have been consistent over the years. The percentage of high school graduates who will find it difficult to integrate into their society and the economy is one of the highest among the more than 70 countries in which the PISA survey are conducted. The situation is getting even worse, especially that the local education budget actually grew by 30 billion shekels, or about $7 billion between the years 2006 and 2016, and has continued to increase since.
Troubles with trying to educate in religion and secular, whether it's one or the other, that is especially problematic in Israel, because what they've done is they've taken Judaism, a religion, which the founder of Israel, Ben Gurion, dismissed as a historical misfortune of the Jewish people. So the whole idea was to get rid of the religion originally. But then they realized that for acceptance internationally, they couldn't use the Nazi tribal racist ideology openly. I mean, that's there underneath, but on the surface, they still promote Judaism as a religion.
According to the OECD, Israelis are being educated too much and unnecessarily about their past rather than their present or future. The OECD further notes that pedagogy in Israel is very traditional and standard. It is not directed towards developing the student's skill. It does not emphasize creative thinking and problem solving. There's too much rote learning. It doesn't work like that anymore. The bottom line, Israel is emphasizing fascist ideas such as Zionism and nationalism. One of the main problems facing Israel's education ministry is the fact that the previous education minister, who served up until 2019, Naftali Bennett himself, is an ultra-right-wing politician and the head of the New Right political party. He is a proponent of such teachings since it was embedded in Israel's inception into the region back in 1947. He once said back in 2016 that the study of Judaism and excelling it is more important to me than the study of mathematics and science. Bennett is allied with former Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked. She was sacked by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier this year because she and her other colleagues were, according to Netanyahu, part of the political mess that forced the Israeli Knesset to dissolve itself, mainly because Netanyahu couldn't come up with a coalition. Shaked is famous for releasing a political advertisement by modeling a Fox perfume called Fascism. In essence, the several-minute clip promoted fascism.
פשיזם. לי זה מריח כמו דמוקרטיה.
Israeli-American columnist Caroline Glick praised the clip.
The great strength of satire is that it opens people's minds to the idea of change, and by sort of lowering this kind of intellectual terror that the left has been particularly good at in Israel for the past generation and a half. So I think it's really important what she did. I think that the use of satire here was exactly right, and what can I tell you? She's one heck of an actress.
She added that terms such as fascism are used to stifle debate in Israel.
One of the ways that we've seen, not only in Israel, but really throughout much of the Western world, to kind of intimidate people is to use terms improperly, like fascism, like racism, like all sorts of other terms, in order to stifle debate, in order to block debate from even taking place on their radical policies.
Israelis had mixed reaction on the issue of fascism and the way the justice minister carried herself out in the clip.
לא חושב שזה ראוי ואני לא חושב שזה נכון, בטח לא לצבוע את זה בצורה כזאת. אני חושב שהם עושים טעות. הם יכולים להילחם על הערכים שלהם, הם יכולים לשנות, זה בסדר, אבל זאת לא הדרך.
I think it's great. I think it does the job. It's I really like it. You know, it's supposed to make an attraction for the people. I mean, you know, and it gets my attention. And if it gets my attention and makes me laugh, it does its job.
בא בחשבון, אסור לעשות דברים כאלה, זה לא בא, נכנס בראש.
Something looks like fascism and smells like fascism, it's fascism. And that's exactly what's going on, or we're on the path towards fascism, I think, in Israel today, unfortunately, I'm saying.
Ayelet Shaked's video works if you're in on the joke. That is, a very small proportion of Israeli voters who laugh at the criticism aimed at the right-wing parties about fascism, who are usually entertained by the way leftists say it's a slippery slope and it's dark times and we're going towards fascism and all sorts of these sorts of criticisms. Those are the people who will be enraged by it, but the right-wing voters will be thrilled by it. It will make them laugh. It is funny for them.
Netanyahu himself created a coalition between Israeli fascist parties, including the Jewish Home, Jewish National Front, and former members of the dissolved Koch party. According to Israeli media, Israeli education focuses on the state, the nation, the homeland, the security, and so forth are the supreme values, and that unconditional loyalty to those values is an absolute and sacred duty. Two trends are dictating this. The first and more important trend guarantees that the school curriculum will not include certain concepts and facts and outlines of historical processes. The second trend involves the introduction of nationalist, religious, and messianic content into the curriculum. It's easy and convenient when there is no other solid base of knowledge to be contended with. This trend goes into universities and impacts the career paths and lives of potentially millions of Israelis. Recent protests like this have denounced fascism and its roles in Israeli society.
באמת שהכל יתנהל פה בצורה תקנית, וקשה לי כשזה לא הולך טוב וכשיש אנשים שרוצים להפוך את המדינה הזאת לדיקטטורית.
באתי להפגין בגלל שאני מאוד חרד שמדינת ישראל הולכת לכיוון פשיזם, לכיוון לומדים בעיקר מטורקיה, ויש סכנה מאוד גדולה למדינת ישראל.
According to the Sharash Institution for Socio-Economic Research, 57% of academics believe that Israel's education system is behind the rise of fascism among some politicians. The same survey saw that Israelis study for many years, but the quality of education is low. Israel's fascism is growing so much that a poll by Pew Research found that 48% of Israelis believe in ethnic cleansing.
This is a big problem. People don't really know where there's all sorts of money pumped in, and the results in terms of productivity of the students that graduate is very low. So it's in a crisis now, and there are calls for major reforms.
It seems that for many in Israel, fascism starts early in life through regime-sponsored education that teaches nationalism in a bid to justify Israel's policies, whether they are internal or external, against the people of the region.